Welcome to day 18 of studying for the CDMP until I pass the exam. I'm currently on chapter 3, which is on data governance. Look, today I looked at the activities that you need to think about as you're developing a data governance strategy, right? These are the set of steps that you need to follow in order for you to develop a very solid data governance strategy. I've got my laptop over here just to go through some of the key things, right? So the first topic that I went to was on defining data governance for the organization. Look, the first thing that you want to do is to define what exactly is data governance for the organization. And the first starting point is to understand that data governance is meant to govern an enterprise, right? It's meant to govern an entire company's data. So the first thing you need to do really well is defining the enterprise. You need to understand what is the business that you're trying to do data governance for. Once you understand the business and the business strategy is in place, you then try to align sort of like the data governance in alignment with the enterprise itself, the structure of the company, and how the company essentially works. So that's how you develop the data governance strategy. Now, the second point that I then covered was on performing readiness assessments. Look, readiness assessment, this is when you're trying to gauge whether currently the company that I'm trying to implement a data governance strategy, how far are they? How effective are their current data governance strategies, right? So there's a number of things that you can do. The first one is data maturity assessment. Now, this is when you look at the maturity of how they're managing data within the organization, how effective certain policies are. The other one is capacity to change. So you need to understand how flexible is the organization to adapting, because data governance requires some sort of organizational change. So you need to assess how flexible is the organization to change if you were to implement that strategy. The other thing that we looked at was on the collaborative readiness. Look, you can't just assume that people within the company are going to be ready for collaboration, and data governance is a collaborative activity. So you really need to do an assessment on how well people are able to collaborate. If there's any barriers, you need to address those. Last point that I covered for today was on performing discovery and business analysis. Look, performing discovery is slightly similar to the other activities, but yeah, this is when you really do investigate to see how effective are the current policies, how much do they address the risk, and how effective are they at aligning the data governance with the business, and can you link the actual benefit that data governance is bringing to the business. So really here is about aligning your business and also checking how effective your current data sort of like governance or policies are. How much of the risks do they prevent, and how much of the loss do they prevent the company? So that's essentially what I learned about today, is a set of activities